Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life with best-selling author and coach Kathy Williams, a show to help you tap into the support of the universe and access the abundance that's available in every area of your life. Listen in for conversations and tools to create more ease, joy, and possibility with family, relationships, business, and living. Kathy's joyful perspective will help you tap into your own wisdom and create a life of presence and abundance your way. Listen live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, or anytime on iTunes or at IOM-FM.
Welcome to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. This is Kathy Williams, your host. And today we are going to talk about something that's present at one point or another for all of us, and that is distraction. Some distraction we can control, other distraction not so much. So we're going to talk about how to move from distraction to focus with some different tactics and methods. And as always, I love to hear from you. You can call into the station. You find the number at IOM.FM. I know a lot of you listen later on iTunes or SoundCloud or at IOM.FM. And if you're listening, after the fact, not on Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, then you can email me your questions. You can post them and let me know what came up for you, whether you loved the show or had some questions or thought I was full of crap or whatever. I'm open to hearing that. I love to hear from you, and I love to also hear your show ideas. So if you have an idea that you'd like to hear more about, or if you'd even like to hear more about this topic, let me know, because sometimes we can't cover everything in the 55 minutes we have together. And there are some things that are kind of ongoing. So let me know what's up in your world, because I wouldn't be here if you weren't, essentially, because, why be on the radio if no one's listening? So that said, a little about me. I'm a speaker. I'm a facilitator of consciousness and abundance, and have been for almost 20 years, which even kind of impresses me. I'm like, really? And you can find out more at meetkathywilliams.com. There you can also get a free money rain meditation and create your life exercise. I have a couple of books. You can find those either at my website or on Amazon. One of them is called Relationships Done Easy. It was a joint project, right? Just different people's relationship experiences, because that was what was interesting for me, right? To hear about, what makes your relationship easier? What tactics and strategies have you found that work? So that's there at meetkathywilliams.com, as well as all the upcoming online classes and in-person retreats I have, including a couple on Maui coming up and one in Laguna Beach, California. So you're invited to all of that. And distraction to focus. It's funny how these topics come about. This one just seems to be time, okay, we're going back to school, or some people are. If you're a mother, perhaps you have kids going back to school. Mine are already in school, 2 new schools, which is fascinating. Just the juggle of taking them, one child this time, one child that time. And sort of learning to direct our energies in the way that's going to create the most for ourselves, for our families, and for our future. And with distraction coming from a multitude of directions, from advertisements, from emails, from the texts we get, from interruptions like kids demanding our attention, or all these different places and spaces, and some of which are controllable, right? I could turn the ringer off on my phone and not receive texts for a while, and some of which are not so controllable. A kid busting in when you're doing something, or if you're at the office, certain distractions. And so we're going to discuss different strategies to kind of tackle those things, to have fun with those fun distractions, to minimize the controllable distractions that aren't so fun and maybe are so fun. And to that end, in fact, I picked it up in a London bookstore. I'm reading a fascinating book about focus. So I was in the bookstore in London. I had been reading a 900-page novel, and I was probably on page 758, something like that, and had to send it home with my husband. So because he was in Vienna when I was teaching a class there with me, and then he flew back to Hawaii with my book deliberately because he was also reading it. And I was flying in London's Gatwick Airport. I think it was Gatwick. Anyway, so there I found that they had my 900-page book, which is called Shantaram, which is amazing. I don't know if I've ever read a better novel. And so I felt lucky that they had that book because it was actually published, I think, a decade ago. And it was like buy one, get one book free, something like that. So I was like, okay, well, let me see if there's another book I would like to have. And this one kind of popped out at me. It's called Hyper Focus: How to Work Less and Achieve More by Chris Bailey. And I have been loving it. I am not actually finished with the book, but it's been amazing for me to see some of his strategies and add them to my own strategies for getting more done, for focusing, for reading faster, and for being less distracted. And one of the first things he suggests is put your phone out of sight, right? When our minds are resisting a task, resisting anything, it will look for more interesting, they'll look for more interesting things to focus on. Well, guess what? There's an endless supply of things on the internet, right? There's an endless number of texts we could create or emails we could check. And so it's like, if you get your phone out of your space, which is something Robin Sharma also suggests, productivity coach to the stars, to the CEOs. If you get that phone out of your space, it creates so much more, right? Distractions and interruptions are so much easier to deal with before they become a temptation, right? So if you think about like 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, we didn't have a phone available all the time. We didn't have people texting us, even at 4 in the morning. I get texts at 4 because 4 here is 7 a.m. Pacific. And so we didn't have access to us all the time. So we really get to look at, do I need people to have access to me all the time? And maybe you do. Maybe you have kids that you'd like to have access to you, or an aging parent or something you would like to have access to you. The thing I've learned to help differentiate between whether it's a really important text or call and whether it's not is to change the ring, change the ding. So, for example, my husband has a different text ding and a different phone ring from anyone else. That way I know it's him. My kids don't have phones yet, thankfully, but their school can have a different phone ring, right? And I have several friends who have a different text ding from the others. So I know, oh, that's Teresa texting. Cool. I know that. That way, if my husband texts or calls, I know that that might be more important than one of those regular text dings. All right? So if you must have your phone around, see if you can differentiate the important from the unimportant, right? Most of the time, we do not need people to have access to us 24/7. And, even then, oftentimes my husband's thing can wait an hour, right? It could wait a half hour. So I have the freedom to turn off the phone or leave it in a different room, or turn off the ringer for a certain period of time. And what that does is it actually allows your brain to relax, right? The constant checking of things creates a different way of functioning in the brain. So if you can eliminate that for an hour, you can access different levels of creativity, or even if it's 3 hours, even better, right? Robin Sharma talks a lot about this, the benefits of doing that. And for me, I've found that it really is true, because if I'm resisting an activity, it's easy to go check the phone or Facebook or something else. Speaking of, with Facebook, I actually did something called, what do you call it? You go into settings on an iPhone and you sort of deactivate the app. So the app is still there on your phone, and the word is not deactivate. I wish what is the word? You go into settings, general settings, and then you go into storage, at least on an iPhone storage, and then you take the app so it's not accessible, but you offload it. You offload the app, and then when you want to use it, you reinstall it, okay? And what happens is that means you're not going to mindlessly go use the app, right? Because it's unavailable. You actually have to tap into, am I doing this for a useful reason right now? Like, am I doing it to create my future, or am I doing it mindlessly, right? And you almost can't do it mindlessly, because you have to go into general settings, iPhone storage, and reinstall the app, right? So if you find that you like to use different apps to distract yourself, this could be a real way to eliminate that distraction. Because what Chris Bailey says in this book is, he says there are 4 types of distractions and interruptions. So if you were to take a piece of paper and to draw a line straight down the center and a line across the middle of it, you could label the right side of it fun distractions, right? The left side of it, annoying distractions, okay? Then the top quadrant, both fun and annoying distractions you don't have control over. And the bottom quadrant, distractions you do have control over. Okay, so you have fun distractions that you don't have control over, fun distractions you do have control over, annoying distractions you don't have control over, and annoying distractions you do have control over. And then what you can do is you can start to mitigate those distractions. So before we go to break, let's just kind of classify certain things. So an annoying one that you don't have control over might be loud neighbors, or loud colleagues, or meetings, or office visitors, things like that. A fun distraction you don't have control over might be a call from a loved one. Even that, though, you can turn off the ringer for a while if you want. Water cooler conversations, like, things that's fun, right? But you don't have too much control over it if you're pouring yourself some water and someone walks over to talk with you. Team lunches or other sorts of build the morale type of projects. All right. Then an annoying distraction you do have control over might be email, text, phone alerts, messenger alerts, meetings, although those might be fun for you too, right? It might not just be annoying. You might have some of those that are super fun. And then other fun distractions might be, again, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, news websites, People magazine, you name it, right? Instant messaging accounts, texting your friends, whatever type of thing, right? You have control over those, and they're pretty fun, right? They add some interest to your life. And it's not that we're going to cut all of that out, right? Like those add to your life in a certain way. So as we go into the next section of the show, we're going to explore how you can kind of use those and mitigate certain ones and eliminate others and make your life easier. So be right back in just a few minutes. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Would you like to have a life of more clarity and abundance? What's possible for you when you get out of your own way? Connect with Kathy Williams for private coaching or join her online to transform your relationship with abundance in every area of your life with the Radical Abundance course. Kathy also travels, facilitating radical abundance and access consciousness bars and foundation around the world. She'll be in London, Hawaii, Hilton Head, and other fun locations soon. Visit www.meetkathywilliams.com for a class schedule, to connect with Kathy, or invite her to your region and get some free goodies.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everybody. I'm so grateful you're listening. This is Kathy Williams, and today we're having a conversation about distraction and focus. And, some distractions are unavoidable, and other distractions we can kind of cut out or minimize. And so we're looking at like controllable distractions we don't have control over. And one of the things you may like to start to do is make a chart, right? What distractions do I run into every day, right? Or run into on a regular basis? What distractions do I kind of know are coming? Oh, well, so-and-so always knocks on my door and wants to chat with me, and I don't want to chat with them, right? Okay, well, maybe I can say, hey, I'm unavailable until 2 p.m. All right, I'm really trying to get something done. Because what they say actually is it takes something like between 23, and it depends on the distraction, okay? I believe it's between 23 and 28 minutes to bring your focus back. And I'm not sure that's entirely true all the time, but, distractions are definitely things that keep us from being as productive as we'd like to do. So if you look at what distractions do you run into, okay? And with the 4 types of distractions, annoying that you can't really control, annoying that you can control, fun that you can't control, okay? And fun that you can control. Looking at the ones that you can't control, right? Okay, if they're annoying, just deal with it in the most effective way and then get back on track, right? Simple. Even if they're annoying, okay, well, if you can lessen your emotional charge about them, then usually you can return to what you're doing more quickly, right? If we get so upset, like, oh, he's always bothering me and blah, 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 right? Then that actually, it takes longer to get back on track. The fun distractions that you have no control over, just enjoy those, right? If we don't have control over them anyway, allow them to contribute to you and be fun. And we talked about some of those maybe being calls from loved ones or conversations with people you run into, maybe when you're picking up your kid from school or at the coffee station at work or whatever. Enjoy it, right? Your life is supposed to have some entertainment value and fun. All right. Now, it's the distractions that are controllable that we can start to deal with ahead of time, right? And while we can't prevent interruptions from arising, we can control first how we deal with them, how we approach them, and then also, if there are things that are controllable and preventable, deal with them ahead of time. So, for example, in the morning, I wait usually at least an hour before I check email. Why? So I can write whatever, and I've done a show about waking up early, write whatever's on my mind, in my head, whatever I need to get ready for my day. Right? I can look at the calendar and see, oh, okay, I have a radio show today. What's required with that? I have the children's school meeting. Do I need anything for that? All of those sorts of things, right? That way I'm not hijacked in the first hour of my day by an email. We've all received an email that kind of rocked our world in a bad way. Well, maybe you haven't, but I have. And so I'm not hijacked by that ahead of time, right? It's like, okay, I've got some things ready to set me up successfully for my day before the other things start to come in, other information, other desires from other people. All right. So starting to look at what are the distractions that come up in my life and what is the most effective way to deal with it. right? Do I need to unsubscribe from certain emails? Are they just a distraction for me? There's this amazing thing that I've fallen in love with in the past week called Unroll Me, UNROLL. Okay, and let's say you receive 100, yours may be way more or way less, 100 emails, not during one day, but you're subscribed to 100 emails. Let's say United Airlines and Priceline. You can see what I like to do, travel. What else? GoDaddy for a website. Different emails. What you can do, what Unroll Me will do is send you one email each day with all of that, right? Whatever came in last night, they'll send it to you with all of that, everything you've subscribed to. And then the other thing it will say is, hey, and we found 30 new ones, right? You received 30 new ones that aren't in this roll-up. Would you like to add those? And then you can go to the site and say, well, actually, no, I would not like to add this one. I would not like to add the one from my bank, right? I want to see that directly. Yes, I would like to add this one from my congressperson. I don't need to see one from them separately. So my roll-up has all these different emails from people requesting my attention, right? Like programs I've been enrolled in and United Airlines, Priceline, you name it, Spirit Airlines ads, whatever it is, all in that one roll-up. So I'm not getting 75 separate emails from each of these. And then I can look at that one roll-up, like open it, because it's an email, open it, and then I kind of see a snapshot of each of the things that is each of those emails. And I can say, well, this one interests me today, and that one interests me. And then you can read those emails in totality. Otherwise, you just skim through and say, oh, nothing interests me, delete. All right. This has totally revolutionized my email. I'm in love with it. And every time it says, we've found 12 new emails to add, I'm like, yay! It's just a delight to not have all that extra distraction for me, all right? And we each get to choose the system that works for us. And I just want to encourage you, like, no matter what anyone has taught you about distraction or focus, you really have to choose what works for you. Like, it may work for you to actually go on Facebook for 15 minutes after you've done an amazing project, or after you've been focused on your taxes for an hour, right? Like, it may be really nurturing for you to do some of the things that people say, well, you shouldn't be doing. Okay? So does this work for me? Or is this a distraction that actually pulls my attention in a direction that's not creating the life I'd like to have? And we have that too, right? I had a client in one of my foundation classes, and she said, I really use Facebook as a distraction. And I asked her, well, what do you love about that? And we looked at it together, and she said, well, Kathy, if I'm on Facebook, I don't actually have to create my business, which means I might not fail, right? So if you're distracting yourself and you know it's creating away from the direction you would like your life to go, it's really useful to look at, like, what do I love about this? What's in it for me? And in some ways it might be like, wow, well, I feel like I'm up to date with people's lives. Okay, cool. Is that working for me? Do I want to continue this? Or is there another way of getting that would work better for me? And you might say, oh, okay, well, I'm using Facebook to stay up to date with people's lives. what if I called them? Like, what if I made a deliberate effort to call one friend each day and did that instead of going on Facebook? Or maybe Facebook works for me. So what if I, set the timer so I know in 15 minutes I'm going to get off? Right? I'm a huge fan of timers because for me, timers just allow me to redirect again and redirect and set a limit because some of these things can actually, be a time suck that we're just so engaged in it we don't realize, like, oh, I just spent, this huge amount of time on it. So taking a look at the direction your attention really gets pulled and like, okay, what do I love about this distraction? Well, even if I say I don't love it, like, what is here for me? And then, okay, is it something I could delete and eliminate entirely? Okay. Like, the other beautiful thing about Unroll Me is whenever you're choosing your different emails, it says keep an inbox, right? That's an option. I don't want my bank statement going to be in that roll up. Then add to roll up is the second option, and unsubscribe is the third option. So it will show you all your new emails that have not yet been added to your roll up, and it'll give you those three options. So when I started using Unroll Me online, I actually unsubscribed from like 75 emails. It's like, I don't even need those to take my attention anymore. Right? So, things that you can control can be tamed in advance, right? They can be eliminated or moved away from or mitigated. So here's one thing you can do. Like, if you really need time to be undistracted, like, keep your phone away, right? Get in distraction-free mode. Okay? I'm going to hyper focus. I'm going to be really engaged in this, and that might require telling people, hey, don't knock on my door. When my door is shut, that means don't disturb me. When it's open a crack, that means you can come in. And so focus. When we're focusing, the less distracted we are, the more deeply we're able to focus, and the more productive we can become, right? With creative activities, or with our taxes, or with writing something, whatever it is, that allows us to do deeper work, right? If we're constantly having to be pulled out and go in a new direction and then come back, so not so effective, right? So there are also distraction blocking apps you can Google and get them on your computer, which will prevent you from checking email. It will prevent you from going to social media sites or Amazon or stuff like that. If you find that, I'm on the computer, I'm doing taxes, but let me go over here to see what's going on in the world, right? There are apps to prevent that, right? To keep you from it, which is amazing, all right? If you want to access those sites, you'll actually have to, sort of like me on the phone, have to reinstall the app. You'll actually have to restart your computer in order to access Amazon.com or whatever. All right. Your phone can go in do not disturb mode, which is amazing, the one with the little moon if you're on an iPhone, or airplane mode, or make sure you just check it when there are rings from those pertinent people, right? Those special ring or text tones, right? If you have noisy neighbors downstairs, neighbors, doing construction, and or who play loud music, and or even the person in the next office who talks loud. Put on some noise-canceling headphones. Like, keep that sound out. Or just turn up your music if that helps you be productive, right? So you're filtering out all the distracting noise that's going to pull your attention and allowing whatever sounds or lack of sounds are to contribute to you and add to what you're doing. All right. So if you take a look at the things I just mentioned, and you take a look at your distractions that you have, which of these would actually help you, right? Take a look at, okay, would any of these methods help? Or have I already thought of a different method that might help? Timers, whatever it is. And make a commitment to yourself to add it into your day. One of the things I like to do is to actually set calendar reminders or make an appointment. Like, my appointment might say, ask this certain question, or my appointment might say, turn off this beeping noise or something like that. So I set appointments for myself, which helps me remind myself of things. So what I'd like you to do is take a moment to think of one of the strategies that might work for you, and then set an appointment with yourself in your calendar to do it. Like, do it by Friday, right? And maybe set an appointment with yourself to do it every day until you make it a habit, because we create our habits, and then our habits end up creating us, which is a quote from Jim Quick, the memory expert. So go ahead and think of, what's one tactic that would help me avoid distraction, and then make a commitment to yourself to add it to your life. And we'll be right back with some more tactics. Thanks for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. I'll be back in just a few.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Would you like to have a life of more clarity and abundance? What's possible for you when you get out of your own way? Connect with Kathy Williams for private coaching, or join her online to transform your relationship with abundance in every area of your life with the Radical Abundance course. Kathy also travels, facilitating radical abundance and access consciousness bars and foundation around the world. She'll be in London, Hawaii, Hilton Head, and other fun locations soon. Visit www.meetkathywilliams.com for a class schedule, to connect with Kathy, or invite her to your region and get some free goodies.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from New Thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Sexy Mom Abundant Life, everyone. This is Kathy Williams, and today our conversation is about focus, moving from distraction to focus. And one of the things that we haven't really touched on is our environment. We talked about sound distractions and stuff like that, but I'm thinking more right now about, well, what's your desk like? What's your home like? What kind of stuff is taking your attention around you? And some of the strategies so far I've shared are from the book Hyper Focus, How to Work Less and Achieve More, which is an awesome book by Chris Bailey. Loving it. And I have not read about this part so much in the book yet. I'm not complete with the book, so maybe we'll do another hyper-focus show. But our environment, right? Those papers that are scattered around or the cluttered desk or something like that. And you might say, Kathy, my desk is cluttered, but I can find everything. And that might actually work for you. And for others, it might be like, no, if I have all these different papers around and they are actually taking my mental energy. So our desk can be cluttered and take mental energy, and also our head can be cluttered and take mental energy, of all the different things you have to remember. And one of the things I wanted to touch on with that is there's a book by David Allen. It's an oldie but goodie, and it's called Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. And he's a genius. His strategy for me is a little bit complex, but very, very useful. And he suggests taking everything you have to do and writing it down. And I've done that before, and it's been a long, long time. And maybe it's something for me to review again. But he says every week, do that. Take everything you have to do and write it down, because if it's in your head, it takes extra energy of remembering and reminding yourself. And if it's on paper, you can look at it and you can say, this actually would be better if I put it on the calendar for March. Oh, this, item doesn't even have to be done by me, or I'll group it together with, we have on Maui, Costco is like 30 minutes away, if I have to go make copies, it would be really useful for me to group it with Costco. Or conversely, if I have to go make copies, it might be useful for me to do a Costco run at the same time, right? So you can group things together. You can say, oh, geez, this afternoon I have to be on email. Let's put all the emails together. I have to email Kate. I have to email the radio station. I have to email my uncle, right? So you can, when you see it, you can group it, which saves a lot of time, right? So definitely recommend Getting Things Done by David Allen. In fact, if you've flown Delta Airlines in the past year or so, he actually has productivity videos on Delta Airlines. So that was kind of neat to see, So his strategy as far as that's concerned has really helped me. Like, let's see it and group it. And then also see, well, maybe this activity is for my assistant Jennifer instead of me. Or who could I find to do this activity and either pay them or trade with them or something else, so that I'm doing my genius and what I'm really good at, and someone else is doing what they're really good at, and my energy doesn't have to go in that direction. And so don't conclude that you don't know someone, right? If you're sitting here thinking, well, that's great for you, but I don't want to pay anyone for these activities that I don't want to do. Okay, cool. Well, how else could you get those accomplished, right? What if you don't have to pay someone? What if they could get done in an easier way, right? So that idea of delegating doesn't have to be paid. It could be a friend comes over and helps you with it, and then later you help them out with something else. When you're cooking, you just cook extra and give it to them. Like there's no end to the creativity that you can use to make your life even better. So what could I add to my life here? Like, who could I add? What would be a contribution to this? All right. The other really interesting thing that a lot of people I know have added that's super useful is the Pomodoro technique. And that was, it's a time management method that was developed by maybe Francesco, something like that, Cirillo, or he's Italian. So if I butchered his name, I'm really sorry. And what it is using a timer. You could use the one on your phone or a separate timer, the kitchen timer, whatever it is, to break your work into pretty much 25-minute segments. And then you take short breaks. And each of those intervals of 25 minutes, more or less, is known as a Pomodoro. And it's the Italian word for tomato. Okay. And the reason it's called that is because when he was doing this, he used a tomato-shaped timer. So it's the Pomodoro technique, and there are apps for that if you prefer that. But lots of people have found that doing this highly focused work and knowing that you have the reward of a break allows you to be more productive. Like, oh yeah, when I'm done with this, I can text that person, right? You don't have to, when you think of texting that person, you could just write it down instead of texting them. Or if you have the thought of, oh, well, I'm doing my taxes, but I really need to email so-and-so, just write it down. And then 25 minutes later, send the email, right? So each time your timer rings, you put a check mark on a piece of paper, right? Then later, then you set it again. And after 25 minutes, take your little break, put a check mark. So then when you have like 4 check marks, you take a longer break, like 15 minutes. Okay, so your first break might be like, oh, I need a glass of water, just go get a glass of water. Oh, I want to stretch, let's stretch. Oh, I'm going to text so-and-so, or go look out for me at the ocean. So, and then after 4 Pomodoros, then you take a longer break between 15 or 30 minutes. And then you start your check marks all over. All right, I hope I have explained that well enough. And there's a whole book on that if it's of interest to you. And it talks about prioritizing your task list. So you have a to-do list and you prioritize those things, which I highly recommend, right? And I like to just be like, this is A, to be done by me today, right? But it's over its own system, which is an interesting system. But the idea is that regular breaks aid your ability to assimilate. Like a sweet little rest is useful for your mind, and then you go back to it, all right? This, again, kind of reduces the impact of both internal interruptions, like I have to do this right now. In 25 minutes, I can do that, right? And also helps you flow, all right? External, it reduces external interruptions as well. So again, there's a book on that, and I've mentioned 3 books so far, right? Hyper Focus, Getting Things Done, and then Pomodoro. And I'm not sure exactly what the name of his book is, but I think it is the Pomodoro Technique. So that is something that I've definitely found to be useful. I don't use it all the time, but for me, more it's the idea of clumping things together, which is useful, and also asking myself, like, what requires my attention now? And minimizing those controllable distractions, like the urge to check Facebook or the urge to check messages that aren't pertinent to my life. Those are the things that work best for me. And then knowing also that there is a reward later, right? I'm going into a deep focused space right now. I'm leaving my phone out of the room. I'm going to get this done, whether that's gathering my stuff for taxes or writing up the radio show topic or whatnot, and putting myself in distraction-free mode. And then afterwards, I can say, okay, for 15 minutes, I'm just going to be distracted. Just going to go in all the different directions. I'm just going to think about this crazy stuff, right? And that's like a little reward, because our days should not just be focus, 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 focus. It's like it requires a little bit of fun too. Not that focus is not fun, right? It's just impossible to work in 100% focus 100% of the time, right? So what distractions interrupt you throughout the day that aren't worth losing productivity, that aren't worth losing focus over? And how can you find a way to minimize those, or to change those, or to deal with those in a more effective way? And what if you could be even if they're annoying, what if you could be in the curiosity of that? Like, okay, cool. It's this, this, and this. Okay, how could I deal with those in a more effective way? What could I add to my life, or what could I subtract? Especially if you're not able to like completely eliminate those things. How could you find a way that really works for you to add more focus and to be able to overcome those things in kind of a playful and relaxed way? Because the more relaxed you are about distraction, the easier it is to go right back into the thing that you need to be doing. So I hope this session has been useful for you, this show, grouping things that need to be done together, in eliminating extra noises or media pulling at our attention, setting limits with people, telling them, hey, you know what, I'm not available till 2 o'clock, whatever it is, just finding something to add to your life to mitigate the distraction so that you can really go in the direction that you would like to go. And that includes maybe asking yourself, what do I love about this distraction? Like, what is the benefit of this distraction? And maybe like my client, you'll find that, oh, well, it's keeping me from going after the thing that feels really big that I might fail at. And then looking at that and being like, okay, cool, right? Well, how can we start to change the attitude about that so we realize that, like, no, but that thing is fun, and if I fail, it's only feedback. It's only showing me, yeah, it didn't work that way, but how else could it work? Or maybe some people are afraid of success, right? And before we leave, I'd just love to invite you to a class I have going on tomorrow called Beyond Your Family's Money Hang-Ups. That's online. It's a 1-hour online plus recording class, and it's at meetkathywilliams.com/upcoming. You're also invited to the Right Time, WRITE, again at meetkathywilliams.com/upcoming. One of my favorite classes, because we get writing, tapping in, overcoming hang-ups and writer's block and stuff like that. And it's beautiful to see what emerges. People get writing after having not written for years, and super fun. So I'm just so grateful for all of you. Thanks for listening to Sexy Mom Abundant Life. I'll be back next Thursday at IOM.FM. And also, if you can't wait that long, at YouTube, SoundCloud, IOM.FM, and at my own website, meetkathywilliams.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks a bunch, everybody. Oh, and come check me out on YouTube. It's one of my favorite places to be. Kathy Williams, public figure. All right, everybody. Aloha. Have a great week.